This is the most boisterous tagline. Absolutely the most incredible ending of any motion picture. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Not incorrect. Because it's literally just half an hour of people melting in slow motion. It rocks.
People melting while Ernest Borgnine is a goat.
Melting goat.
Wow.
Actually, I think that tagline holds test of time. I think they're right. I take back what I said.
They're in the conversation.
Yeah, they're definitely at least top 5. You know, Tusk is up there. Got a dude turned into a walrus.
R.I.P. Mr.
I've
Tusk.
seen worse endings.
Every movie, honestly, should just end with like a solid 30 minutes of people melting.
I'm saying.
This is episode 195? 95, something like that. I don't know, 90-something
Sure.
of I Hope You Suffer.
There's a 9 in there.
I am
9.
Mark Preston.
Aw.
I got nothing.
Kid is Anton LaVey, High Priestess. High Priest, whatever his fucking role was in this movie.
Special consultant.
Yeah.
Anton LaVey.
I'll be Lilith, who was in this movie for literally 1 second for no reason.
Yeah.
This week we are talking about 1975's The Devil's Reign.
The Devil's Reign!
Which was Kit's pick because everybody loves John Travolta.
Yep.
Standing there with no eyeballs.
So he was like the one like main helper boy, right? I assume occultist guy.
You see him for like a solid 25 seconds in a shot. Like he's one of the weird eyeless people that Ernest Borgnine like tells him to go get something or some shit, and then he disappears.
He got a
Yeah,
name,
so when
though.
the credits-
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Danny.
Danny. What if I would have loved if he just like broke out into a song from Grease in the middle of like their satanic like chants.
No,
I-
he should
when
have
I
done the
told him
waterfall
it-
thing from Face Off to somebody's face.
Okay, well, there are many things John Travolta could have done in this movie, and he didn't do any of them. So, thanks a lot, John Travolta.
Kit, why was this your pick?
Because it's super sick. It's one that I've enjoyed for a while, and we're doing good movies, and I wanted to stick with one that kind of fits the vibe of the podcast, too, you know?
Mm.
So Devil's Reign is one that immediately popped into my head, because it's like a bunch of really cool visuals, absolutely nonsense story. It's just a lot of fun to watch, too, because it's so much insanity happening. Like, it opening with a guy just walking up to a door melting, and everyone's like, oh, well, that was weird, and just moving on with their lives.
It's so funny.
Incredible.
Like the first like I don't know half an hour of this movie, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
It
It
just
doesn't
throws you,
explain
like, into the
anything.
middle of a story. Yeah.
It rules.
Like, immediately after that, Shatner's just like in a ghost town, and Ernest Borgnine's like, I knew you'd show up. And it's just like, what's going on?
like until you get the
flashback.
yeah, the flashback.
flashback.
I was just like, I don't know what this movie is going on about. Like, I don't know what's happening. All I know is there's some Satanists and William Shatner screaming has a fucking pentagram burned into his chest or some shit. Carved into his chest, I guess. And Ernest Borgnine just like the least, like just like the worst Satanist on earth. Like the least believable.
Yeah,
Until
he's like
turns into a goat.
He's like he's so like non-menacing.
Well, he has
and
that
he's just like, you're gonna fucking die. And he's just like smiling.
I was gonna say he has that Ernest Borgnine smile like the whole movie. And that fucking gap in his teeth and shit. Like, I don't know. Like, I just, like, don't take him seriously as a villain until he gets the goat makeup.
His, like, crazy eyebrows. He's just, like, your crazy old uncle.
He's cool as shit.
But, like,
once he's a
not
goat.
in a bad way. Yeah. You know I love a goat person.
Katie, what'd you think of this?
I actually liked it. I think... all of the stuff that I agree with all the stuff you guys said, where it's like a little wacky. I love Satanist cult situation. What I liked about it was that like a while ago, I like went through a phase where I was like finally like watching a bunch of movies from the 70s, or like, you know, late 60s, early 70s. And the thing I liked about this is that like, so it came out in 1975, but like it didn't really feel like one of those like typical like witch and or Satan kind of movies that came out in the 70s where they're like really long and drawn out for no reason and like it doesn't really make sense. Like this kind of doesn't make sense, but kind of like in a wacky way. And so I liked that it was only like an hour and a half. So like once the movie started, like you guys said, it like drops you in the middle of like a story that like only some of the people, like it's hard to tell in the beginning too, like who knows about what's going on and who doesn't, because like we find out before some of the other characters do also, right? So it's like really interesting the way that they did that. And I didn't think it was boring. There was like not really any slow parts for me. And I don't know, it was wacky. I was like really curious about what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, I don't know what's happening. This is stupid. I don't care. I'm like, why do those people not have eyeballs? Like, what's going on with that? And, like, the melting was cool. So I actually really liked it.
Yeah, it doesn't help that, or it doesn't hurt that the movie's like an hour and 20-something minutes, and, like, easily, I don't know, 10 minutes of it is credits. So, like, it goes by pretty quick.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I liked it as well.
Yeah.
It's like it's just, like the acting, cause just based on who's in it, is so like ridiculous and over the top.
Yes.
And like, William Shatner being like the least believable pilgrim of all time.
His fucking ponytail. It was great.
It rules. Yeah, it's just interesting because it's like the first, I don't know, half of the movie, you're just kind of like, I don't know what's happening. And then you get like backstory, and then everybody just starts like melting. And they you could tell they were just like, I don't know, we only have one shot at filming all of these these melting effects, so just put up 30 cameras and we're showing all of it.
Yeah, honestly. What I liked about it...
Go ahead, Katie.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, if I made melting heads look that sick, I would want to melt every single one of them on camera. Absolutely milk it.
I just want, like, an explanation as to why these people just turned into wax.
So, I was going to say... the thing that I liked about the melting too is that it was like, it's like not your typical person melting, right? The people, for whatever reason, are like made of wax and they're melting and it looks like wax, but it's like this really gross like skin color, but then also sometimes like green and red, like they're candles. And it was just like wild. It was just like unique, you know what I mean? And I think the reason, well, I don't know. The whole like backstory behind like what the Goat Man was like actually doing to the people, I'm still a little foggy on.
I
But
mean, it was
maybe
just-
when we get to it, we can.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, just finish.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe when we get to it, we can like suss it out because I think I have. I think I have a really loose grasp on what was supposed to be happening.
You're just
Really
goat-
loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Goating it
the
up
goat.
with some friends.
trying to make some
Goats
candles.
love candles. Goats love candles.
That's true. It's the one thing I know about goats. Is they love candles.
You know it.
All right, let's dive into it.
Okay. I also meant to say like I had never heard of this movie in my whole life, so I was really surprised that I liked it.
Think did Severin release this?
Yep.
That's the only reason I knew what it was, and I
Okay.
remember like looking at the cover, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't need that." And honestly,
You're
like
wrong.
I mean, no, I feel like this is just one of those ones that like I've watched, and I probably like maybe would rewatch it like once or twice ever again. Like it doesn't seem like it's a movie that like I need to own, or I feel like I'm just gonna like rewatch it a bunch. So like
Right.
I'm fine with that, like not owning it, but it's also still very good. If
Yeah.
you do want to
So-
go buy it,
I'm gonna look up the cover. It's cool.
The cover's sick.
Also, yeah, like we said, has some big hitters in this movie. Aside from what we said, also Eddie Albert is in it. Oh, we said John Travolta,
Tom
Anton
Stewart.
LaVey. Wow, yeah, that's who I was missing. So I was actually surprised to just see like so many people in it. Fucking William Shatner. Okay, so basically this movie starts.
I've watched entirely
Oh,
too
no.
many William Shatner movies for podcasts that
Which is the worst.
oh the one I had to do on Customers Also Watched was pretty bad because he plays like a kid that's traumatized by something that happened to him as like a youth that now he just grows up to be like, I don't know, attacking women, but it's like William Shatner just overacting like a madman the whole movie. It's pretty bad.
No.
Yikes. He was pretty tame in this one, I have to say. He wasn't like off the rails.
Restrained.
Yeah, he's tied down and screaming the whole movie. So
Or he has no eyes.
God
And doesn't do
damn
anything.
it.
God, every time somebody doesn't have eyes. I also thought the cover
Love
of
it.
this was the cover to Devil Story that Vinegar Syndrome put out for some reason, which is very much not the same movie.
I gotta watch that one.
If you know what the cover I'm talking about is?
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, well, because I was sitting there thinking, like, while I was watching it, I was like, wasn't there like a weird dude with like an SS fucking leather jacket on and a shotgun? Like, I don't understand.
What's happening here?
But I assume they're both good. I don't know what Devil Story's about, but I kind of want to watch it now.
It's got a good title. Yeah.
It's got a cover of a
Okay,
weird
so-
creature holding a shotgun.
Oh, I see it. Whoa, what is going on there? Is it like a zombie?
He's just got a lumpy head.
situation? And a weird mouth.
The actual like the screenshots on Vinegar Syndrome, the actual makeup on this dude are incredible. There's also a mummy in it for some reason. What's happening? I gotta see this movie.
I can see if you look on the left of the cover, there's a I assume that's a mummy hand, so makes sense. Sure.
Wow, movies are good. In
Definitely.
case people weren't aware.
So, this movie starts on a stormy night.
Very.
There's a
stormy.
woman whose name is Mrs. Preston, and she is looking out the window. She's really upset. And her, I don't know, butler of some sort, which is weird because he is like definitely way older than her, brings her a pot of coffee, and she is just like really stressed out. And then her son, we find out, her son Mark, who is William Shatner, comes in and is just like, no sign of him or the truck. And she's like really stressed. She's like, oh my God. He tries to call somebody, but the phone's dead also. And she's just like, Mark, this is just like the dream that I had. I'm freaked out. It's just like the dream I had. And he's just like not listening to her. But she knows something bad has happened to, we find out, her husband, Steve. He's trying to calm her down. They hear the dog bark outside and they go out there. Steve shows up looking freaky as hell. At first I couldn't really tell what was supposed to be going on with him because like
He's very moist.
he's moist and also like you can tell what we're looking at is not a real face. And also his eyes are weird. But anyways, they're like, oh, hey, oh, it's Steve. And Steve is like, I don't know, babbling. And he's talking about the book and someone named Corbus and Redstone in the desert and to give him the book. And then he falls over and he melts in the rain.
He looks
He
very
bubbles for a
melty
while.
to begin with. And then
Yeah,
just
he
gets
was like
worse.
he was already on the way. And he also bubbles and they like linger on the bubbling for a while. Like 10 minutes. So he also says something in Latin, I assume, which everybody in this movie knows how to speak Latin. And Mrs. Preston says that he had said, in the name of Satan. And she's just like, that wasn't Steve. That wasn't my husband. But it was his face. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Wow. So I'm already really intrigued because I am thinking at this point that I don't know what that thing was, but it was wearing her husband's face. And that's like kind of not quite what happens, but still at this point, I'm fucking hooked already. And she's basically like, she said something to her son, Mark, like, oh my God, they found us. They know where we are. And we're like, what are you talking about? And Mark is convinced that Corbus has his father. Or no, wait. The mom says that. Which also I'm confused about because I don't feel like they ever tied up what happened to the father. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just like a thing they just sort of leave open. At least from what I remember.
So they go inside. She pulls a book out of the floor and is just like, here's the book. Give this to Corbus. What a name. And Mark is just like, I'm not going to give the devil's man what he wants. And he's like, I'm going to do this on my own terms. And he gets his gun, as you do. And then his mom gives him an amulet and says, because, in the 70s, if you had an amulet, you're fine. And she's like, if you have this, like, you'll be fine or whatever. So they hear a truck outside, which I assume is supposed to be his dad's. So Mark gets on his jacket and his cowboy hat, and he goes out to the truck to see what's going on. Inside, there's nobody there, but there is a wax voodoo doll of his mom stabbed to the steering wheel. And then there's a huge ruckus, like the loudest ruckus I've ever heard of like screaming and banging around and shit. And Mark's just standing there looking at the house like, well, that's kind of weird. And then as slow as possible, he like goes back into the house. And poor John has been beat the fuck up and hung upside down. And his mom is gone.
Somehow in
like
8 seconds.
Right, like,
They
okay,
work quick, those
granted,
Satanists.
Yeah.
like I said, Mark takes his good old fucking time going and checking out what that loud noise was, but like, holy shit. I mean, I guess there are a ton of them, but like, wow, I was not expecting that. And this is when Mark says, Corbus, God damn you. And then he takes the amulet and he leaves. He leaves fucking John there, who has just been beat up and like strung upside down. He's just like, I'll be back, see ya, and leaves. And John is like, they had no faces. And I'm like, oh my God, they didn't have any. Well, spoiler alert, we don't see anybody that doesn't have a face. But at this point, I'm like really in. I'm like, okay, what is
Yeah,
going on with the faces?
I forgot that he's constantly like, they didn't have faces, when like really they just don't have eyes.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't blame you, John. You got fucked up, man. Nobody takes care of him in this movie either. So, Mark gets in his car, drives around for a while, like driving through the desert and whatnot. And he arrives at like an abandoned Western looking town, you know, tumbleweeds and the works. And, okay. He's just like looking around, and he's trying to get water out of like I don't even know what you call that, like a water spigot that you have to like pump to get water, and it's like not working. And then someone just fucking appears and it's just like, howdy, you lost? And he's like, no. And he's like, okay, well, here you go, here's some water, and like helps him get the water.
I like that he does the
the
Western version of like Fonzie tapping the jukebox to get it to work.
The jukebox. Yeah, he just like hits it, and it's like, and then Mark is like, ew, this water's fucking nasty, and he's just like, well, so then he just is like, hey, did you bring the book? And he's like, Mark is like, okay, I'm only talking to Corbus. And he's just like, so speak. He's just Corbus just fucking walked out there, kind of like a boss, if you ask me. And it's just like, hey, give me the book. And Mark is just like, they basically just have a back and forth where each of them thinks that their faith is the stronger faith. So they both think that they're going to win whatever standoff is about to happen. Because Corbus wants to take him into this creepy, boarded up, rundown old church, of course. And Mark really dramatically is like pointing at him for whatever reason. It's just like, fine, I'm going to go in that church and face whatever's in there. But if I win, I get to take my mother and father with me. And then Corbus is just like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. But if you lose, you have to give me the book, and you got kind of a crush on him, you know?
Yeah.
So they go in the church, and it's pitch dark. Of course, there's chanting. There's some kind of like altar going on. And Corbus is just like, hey, take a seat. So he sits down, and he takes the amulet out of his shirt, which looks so fucking funny because it's like huge. It's like very obviously a huge fake necklace. It's like the size of his entire hand, like not just his palm, but like his whole hand. And he's just like clutching it like, Jesus, help me. It's pretty funny. Oh, I have to say, the other thing I wasn't expecting is that there's a lot of really cool just like shots in this movie. And like this is the first one where Corbus like comes up to the front stage, and he's wearing like all red, like a, you know, like a ceremonial robe, but it's red. And then he's standing there, and like the rest of the church is like blacked out, but then there's like stained glass behind him with like a very cute picture of like a Satan goat.
All the stuff
making like a very
in the actual church looks very cool. And then like you have that like extremely goofy, like, yeah, like you said, like kids drawing of like a goat head.
The goat's little mouth is like so funny. It just looks like perturbed, like, but the shot is really cool because it's like he's all red and he's standing in front of the stained glass, and it's like just the colors of the stained glass coming through. And yeah, so Corbus is just like doing some cult stuff and talking to Satan, as you do. And as he's doing that, Mark starts praying to God. And they're both like praying at the same time or whatever. And Corbus is trying to summon somebody named Martin Fife. And at this point, I'm like, am I supposed to know who that is? And no, we're not supposed to know who that is yet. And then, so Mark is just like saying the Lord's Prayer or whatever, and then he says, "Deliver me from evil." And Corbus is just like, "There's no evil here. Look, your mom's here." And all of the people that are like in the robes around him look up, and one of them is his mom, but like she doesn't have eyes anymore, so she's probably not
honestly
doing great.
Sounds sounds pretty preferable right now.
Pretty hard look.
Yeah,
To be
they
honest.
look pretty cool.
Like, imagine walking into
They-
the grocery store. Everyone would fucking clear out of the aisle. Like,
That's true.
it'd be so
That is
nice.
true. Yeah. Maybe people would stop talking to me on the street for once. And Mark's mom is just like, hey, join the cult. I love it here. But like I said, she doesn't have any eyes, so obviously her judgment maybe is a little bit compromised. And he's like, oh no! And then they all of the like cultists start coming at him and stuff. And he takes out his gun and shoots one of them. And the goo that comes out of it is just, it's like red and green and shit. And so we're like, what's that about? It was kind of cool. Corbus is just like, oh, so is that your face? And Mark is like freaked out because he shot someone, I guess. And he like runs out of the church and he's just like, free me, free my family. But then Corbus does a spell that turns Mark's amulet into a snake. So he throws it off on the ground. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of thinking I would be joining the cult if I could do stuff like that.
Yeah, it seems
Well, like,
pretty cool.
Right? Like,
What kind of a loser do you have to be? You've got home field advantage. You're in a church, a house of God, and you can't even win? Come on, my guy.
Yeah, but it's a church with a satanic stained glass window. You're not beating that.
yeah. Also, like, Corbus can turn stuff into snakes, and Mark can't do anything. So,
He could turn
I don't know.
a water into a wine. It's not as cool.
Yeah, now what you gotta say,
Honestly,
Katie?
What if he turned
I-
water into a
that-
snake? A
that
wine
would be really
snake.
cool. I would also like to be able to turn water into wine, but I also think that normally that's red wine for some reason. Oh, because it's the blood of Christ, right?
Yeah.
And I can't drink red wine, so that's useless to me.
I'd
So
like
Bart,
to turn
again,
snakes
still
into wine.
useless.
I think that would be pretty cool.
Ooh,
I
snake
want to turn
wine.
wine into snakes.
I would like to
Just
be
as
able
you're
to turn
going-
Just
anything.
a bottle of snakes.
Just as they're like pulling the wine glass up to their mouth, you're just like, and it's a snake.
Snakes. Yeah. I would like to be able to turn anything into a snake and then vice versa. Like if I saw a snake on the ground, I could like turn it into
Another snake.
a hot dog or something.
God,
Ooh.
dog.
turn a hot dog into wine.
But like with hot dog.
What if just like you turned it like it was a snake, but when you like you snapped, it was still a snake, a living snake, but made out of hot dog meat.
It's like encased in the
Ew.
like skin.
Yeah. That's the world I
That'd
want
be
to
pretty
live
Yeah, the wiener snake world.
in. Yeah.
Ew.
The world where everything is made out of hot dog meat.
We stand wiener snakes.
Honestly, you could turn anything into hot dog meat that is living.
Yeah, but it has to still be alive.
I don't. I can't comprehend that right now.
Katie is too high.
I am. Wow. What was happening? Oh,
Wine snakes.
well, yes. Corbus turned Mark into a snake. That would have been even cooler. Why didn't he just do that?
Because that would make sense.
Well, here's why. I'll tell you. There's actually a real reason. So, yeah, he turns the amulet into a snake, and Mark throws it on the ground and is like, my amulet! And the cultists are all, like, running around, and he just gets up and runs, and they're following him or whatever. And then we just, like, hard cut to a girl. So, everything that they're talking about in this section, I have no idea what they're talking about. But they like cut to this woman named Julie who is like meditating, and they're like she's able to I don't know what this word is that I wrote. Oh, she's able to like regulate her own heartbeat, and I'm like, okay. While she meditates or I don't know what the fuck's happening. She's meditating, and essentially what they're doing is like doing experiments on her because the doctor who is I forgot his name already. Eddie Albert
Kyle
is
Classic
Dr.
Kyle.
Is his name is Sam Richards in the movie. He is doing studies basically on ESP, but like all of the shit so he's like trying to do this demonstration to like a group of other scientists, and everything that they say makes absolutely no sense in the space of ESP, so who the fuck knows. But anyways, they're talking about like ESP, right? And she starts seeing visions of like the church and Mark. Maybe he's being like, we don't know. They're just like really quick images. We see a goat face. We also see that maybe Mark is being like tortured. We don't really know. But while this is happening, Tom, who is Mark's brother and Julie's husband, gets a note. And like essentially Julie's laying there and she's just like explaining how ESP works. Not really, but sort of. Then she like has the vision, and then she wakes up and she's like, Tom! And she's like screaming at the top of her fucking lungs. And he just like walks up to her and it's just like, something's happened to my family. And it just like cuts to the sheriff being like fucking absolutely worthless because
checks out.
Honestly, this is like and this let me tell you because this shit happens, right? So basically Tom gets a note, probably from John, explaining that like somebody broke into the house, stole the mom, and Mark has been missing, right? And so Tom goes there and is like, hey, my family's missing, like what can I do about this? And the sheriff is like, listen, there were because there was that really, really bad thunderstorm the night before, he thinks that the storm like blew water into the house and like fucking took his family. The storm. Mm-hmm. The storm is responsible for their house being wrecked and 2 people missing. Meanwhile, fucking John's there by himself, having been strung up, and nobody believes him. And the sheriff's just like, well, the storm was really bad. Ain't nothing to be done about it. And so Tom's just like, okay, I'll just go. Like, John knows that Mark went to Redstone, and the sheriff's like, oh, no, that's abandoned. And he's just like, okay, fine, I'll fucking do it myself, you idiot. So
they should have investigated the weather to see if that was a true thing.
Arrested.
Honestly, they didn't even ask any questions. So they're going to go to Redstone. Tom tells John that Sam Richards, the doctor, is coming the next day. And he's like, tell him everything that you told me. Poor John is still being left alone and like cannot keep his shit together. I don't blame him. And so they go to Redstone. Julie also, before they leave, finds a puddle of wax like where Steve, the dad, had melted the night before, and it's just like, it's wax. And they're like, that's weird. So
they're right.
Meanwhile,
that's pretty weird.
It is weird. So meanwhile, Corbus is kind of torturing Mark to find out where the book is. And this is when I was just like, he summons Lilith. He's like, Enchantress of Delights or something. And she goes to kiss him. And I'm like, all right, what's like going on here? But then when she pulls away, it's like his mom. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here? Because then he's just like, Mom! And he like freaks out. I don't know. Corbus is like trying to summon Martin Fife into Mark's body, essentially, is what's happening here. We find out. At this point, we still don't fucking know what that means. Tom and Julie arrive at the abandoned town, and he's immediately sus of the church And I was like, okay, fair. The church is like a building off by itself, and it's like boarded up where none of the other buildings are. So like, sure. But then the reason that they think the church looks weird is because it's the kind of church that you would see in New England and not wherever they're living, which is in the desert. And that made me laugh really hard because I was like, listen, you didn't need to justify why the church looked weird to me, but sure.
Oh, so do they ever
this
say where this takes place? I don't think they do.
Mars.
They say Redstone,
Oh,
but
shit,
like
is this
I
Ghost
don't.
of Mars?
Wow, what a twist that would have been.
Ernest
But yeah,
Borgnine
no,
is
I have
Big
no
Daddy
idea.
Mars.
This is a prequel.
I love that. This is another shot that I thought was super cool, where it's just like panned back, and it's just like the church sitting there by itself, and then they like pull up in the car. I just thought it was really cool looking. So they go in, they look around. This is where I was like, yeah, everyone just speaks fucking Latin, I guess, because Julie reads off a banner, and Tom is like, for Satan, or something like that, you know. And then they also find a T-shirt that has the word Preston written in blood on it. It's Mark's shirt. Sure.
At least they labeled it so they would know it was his.
Yeah, true. And then their car blows up, and they run out there, and they're like, oh my God, the car. And then they immediately almost get run over by Mark's car, and Tom shoots at the car, and then whoever is driving the car crashes and immediately runs into a saloon, and they follow, and they're kind of like doing this little like chase, or like chasing around or whatever. Then someone jumps out at Tom, and they wrestle around, and this is when we get the backstory. Because they catch this guy, and Julie's able to look into his eye holes, because, like, you know, he also doesn't have eyeballs. And kind of like we see fire through the eye holes. And she's like, they're looking for a book. And this is when we get a flashback of Corbus as a literal pilgrim.
Amazing.
Which is also confusing, like, as to how pilgrims are wherever the fuck this movie is supposed to take place. I don't know if like
Pilgrim Town.
the church was transported or something. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, he's a pilgrim, and he's asking a bunch of other pilgrims who took the book, and he addresses. I'm hearing noises, and I don't know why.
Probably Corbin.
Corbin.
Corbin, whatever the fuck his name was.
Corbo.
Hello.
Coming to get you.
Hello.
John Corbo.
Sorbo? Kevin Sorbo?
God,
All
I
right.
hope not.
Side note. Did y'all see Kevin Sorbo's CPAC outfit?
No. I avoided anything about CPAC as much as I could.
He wore a suit, and the inside lining was all of his own tweets.
Holy shit.
Wow.
What a fucking dummy.
Incredible.
Wow.
Hercules does not have a strong brain.
No.
Not at all.
It would have been even better if it was just James Woods tweets instead.
Yeah. all the
Honestly,
people that have been
like,
banned.
Yeah. I didn't even know that he had a Twitter, and I can only imagine what kind of tweets. What's the
It's
process of like
exactly what
picking
you
out
expect.
your own tweets and like putting them? Like, how did he pick? He just like paid someone, pick my best 20 tweets, please.
Probably, like,
I don't know.
most likely. Probably
Yeah.
he just probably like.
He's directing a movie.
Of course he is. I'm sure it's going to be about how COVID is fake.
Duh.
Katie, he's in Florida. Find him.
Yeah, of course
Okay.
he
Take a
is.
suit.
I'm on it.
Where else do
I'm
you
on
think
it.
he would be?
Honestly.
What's it? I want to know what his movie is.
It's called Let There Be Light.
Oh my
yep, let's
God.
see. An atheist goes through a near-death experience in an auto accident before converting to Christianity.
Hell yeah.
Also, some oh boy, starring Sean Hannity,
Oh.
Daniel Roebuck.
I thought you were about to say Daniel Radcliffe, and I was like, "Oh my sir,
Di-
no."
Dionne Warwick's in this.
What?
Huh. Oh, this is out. This is on Tubi. This came out in 2017.
Oh wow. It's just his header image.
Look, I'm telling you, once we get through all this shit, we got to do like that fucking weird anti-masks 2025 movie. Just do a month of just unbearable bullshit like this.
Truly suffering.
Ugh.
I believe his wife or daughter is also in it. I don't know who Sam Sorbo is, but they look very young. So I'm gonna assume wife. I mean, look, it's got a 1.5 star rating on Letterboxd. It's gotta be good.
Oh my gosh.
I'm real
I don't
disappointed
like
Daniel Roebuck's in this.
Yeah. I'm not into any of that stuff you were just saying.
Oh, Sean Hannity was a producer.
God.
Oh man, we're gonna
That
do
makes so
a
much more
month
sense.
with Shane on every episode, and it's just gonna be this shit.
Yes. God's
Okay,
Not Dead
I'm
too.
down for that.
Letterboxd started
Yeah.
doing something at like the bottom where you could look at similar films, and there's some
Hmm.
movies here that
Are they?
I
Are-
can't wait to watch. I can't. Why I.
All right.
I can't believe this shit exists.
Awful.
Uh,
Man, Kevin Sorbo's got quite the filmography. He's in a movie
God, I
called
didn't even thought to look.
Boone the Bounty Hunter, starring John Morrison.
like he's
What?
not even starring in it.
Oh no, he's definitely he's probably like the bad guy in it. No, he plays Kevin Sorbo in it.
Why? It always
Faith-
fascinates me when like people play themselves in movies where like it doesn't make sense. It's not, it's not like Billy Zane being Billy Zane in Zoolander. You know what I mean? It's just like why?
Oh
Could always
boy.
do Piranha Sharks.
We could do Free Lunch Express, which is from the creators who watched Airplane too many times, comes the surreal story
no.
of Bernie Sanders. The farcical tale takes us from childhood to political icon, with battles against the Clintons, drinks with AOC, and weed with Ben and Jerry along the way.
Oh no. And Kevin Sorbo plays George Washington in it?
How is Malcolm McDowell the narrator of this? Are all of these people
oh my
trash?
God, no. I feel like maybe.
Why are there so many Kevin Sorbo Walking Tall sequels? Ooh, man.
Listen,
I fell down a hole I don't know if I can get out of.
yeah, I regret bringing his name up now, honestly. It was a mistake.
Joseph
back-
Stalin and Bill Clinton are in this also. Sorry. The lady they got to play Hillary has a striking resemblance.
Wow. Okay, back to the Pilgrims. So,
You wait, hold on. You don't want to watch Kevin Sorbo in the a movie directed by Chris Farley's brother called Paranormal Movie?
Oh no.
That is a scary movie version of Paranormal Activity, I assume, starring Jake Busey, Tom Sizemore, William Catt, Eric Roberts.
Eric.
I'm pretty sure that I knew that existed, though, honestly.
I feel like
I
you've
haven't
probably
seen it, but
seen it.
I've heard of it.
It's almost
No, I
definitely been on
haven't, but-
Netflix for like the past 10 years.
Is that the one where the cover is like
A dude on a toilet.
Pac-Man? Oh.
No, it's like, it looks like
I'm thinking of
it's
something different.
Kevin Farley.
Maybe that's just a meme. That might just be a meme. My bad. Well,
I just
either
like
way.
though that it looked like all of these movies, every fucking movie he's in is like 1.2 rating, 1.5. He's
Yeah.
wait. Yeah, I gotta get out of this. Falling down a Kevin Smith.
Abandoned.
Yeah,
You're falling down a Sorbo hole.
yeah.
The last
So,
place you want to be,
Corbus,
Sorbo's hole.
no. Let's turn that into a snake.
Let's just make. We should. I was gonna. You were gonna say a shirt.
No. Although, no. That just reminds me of fucking Zombie Ass of the Dead or whatever the fuck
Hell
with
yeah.
that
Perfect
buttworm
movie.
battle. God, I'm so sad about it still, you guys. So, Corbin is a pilgrim, and he is grilling a room full of other pilgrims because he wants to know where the book is. This is when he addresses Martin Fife. We finally find out who Martin Fife is, and it is literally Mark, like, aka it's William Shatner, just like in a pilgrim wig, essentially. And there's a knock at the door, and Corbus is like, shh, everyone shut the fuck up. Like, they're not supposed to know that we like Satan. So they go to the door, and it's the preacher of like the town, and he's there with like literally an Angie. They're angry.
One Angie.
Oh Jesus! He's there with an angry mob, and basically the preacher is like Corbus, you're a fucking witch, and we know it. And I forgot to say the part where, sorry. So basically, like when Corbus is like, "Who stole my book?" Then he looks at Martin Fife, and he's just like, "Where's your wife?" And Martin's just like, she's sick." But then when the mob and the preacher shows up, Martin's wife is like with the preacher because she like ratted him out or whatever. And Corbus calls her a slut and slaps her. Then, also not really sure what this has to do with anything, but he goes back inside after slapping Martin's wife and shuts the door, and he gives his son a bunch of like ritual stuff, and he's just like, carry on with the cult, and like his son escaped. So I guess that's like their explanation as to why Corbus is like alive now, because like his son could bring him back. I don't know. So essentially, like, Martin's wife is like told on Corbus and the cult for liking Satan, and the preacher is just like, fucking burn them all. And Martin's wife is just like, remember, you said that. But also, everyone's speaking like upon thy neighbor, like they're speaking like Old English, and that's kind of funny, especially William Shatner. And Martin's wife is like, remember, you said you wouldn't harm my husband. And the preacher is pretty much just like, haha, I meant, yeah, I just meant his soul. I just meant that I would pray for his soul, and like yours also. And so basically, like, Corbus curses Martin's family line for the rest of eternity, as Corbus, Martin, his wife, and all of the other satanic cult members are being burned at the stake for being witches. So, yeah, that's the backstory. That's what happened.
That's some
And-
fucking real pettiness. Just like peak levels of pettiness.
I mean, she did like get them burned at the stake and murdered.
Yeah, but
So,
he wasn't a goat yet, so who cares?
Yeah.
No one realized he was gonna be cool.
that's true. So, like, so like that was like Julie was like looking through this guy's eye holes and like saw this whole story somehow. Anyways, and Tom is just like, what the fuck? And Julie is just like, okay, they're here, let's go. And they like run out and take Mark's car and they're like driving or whatever. They drive away a little bit. Tom tells Julie to take the car and go call the sheriff and he's gonna go back to the town. And she just fucking leaves. I was like, girl.
Yeah, I would too.
I feel like you would leave him there?
Yeah. I'm like, you're on your own. I'll go find a new boyfriend.
They're married.
Yeah, either way.
Wow. Wow, Nathan. So
don't act like you would leave like, Chris in Satan Town.
Listen, I wouldn't have married someone who would have gone back to Satan Town. That's the thing. I would be the one that's being like, okay, I'm gonna go back and like try and get powers or something, and he'd be like, well,
look, I want to go join them.
Like, learn that would be me.
Get
and
my
he'd be like, all right, learn the one that turns snakes into wine or PBR.
But
we'll turn snakes into PBR.
I need to turn snakes into hot dogs. I got
hot dogs and wine.
Big plan.
Yeah.
What else could you need?
Snake wine.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I've definitely drank wine while eating hot dogs, so it's fine. It's classy.
It's Florida.
Just we call it a sipping dog. Kidding. It's not called anything.
What? You know those hot dogs that have cheese in them? Just put wine in the hot dog.
I love those. Well, I feel like it would evaporate.
We'll find a way. We can deep fry beer.
We'll
we can hot dog a wine.
That's true. Yep, you're right.
I love a wine dog right now. It sounds delightful.
Me too, honestly.
What if you just get like a glass of wine and you just get a hot dog that you put a hole in and uses a straw?
There it is. That's the winner.
We just take out the cheese block, and then you eat the cheese, and then you stir your wine with the hot dog and then sip it. I feel like that would actually work for like a Bloody Mary, because they already put like bacon and shit. You can get Bloody Marys with like hamburgers on the stick, so like
that's absurd.
Hot dog works.
That's the only way to make Bloody Marys tolerable, is to add a bunch of actual good stuff to the top.
Dogs.
Hot dogs, bacon, jalapeno, poppers, the works.
The whole crab. It's alive.
It's still in a shell.
A live crab that you can take home and it will be your pet. Geez, how did that happen? Okay.
Well, they caught the crab.
We're all dummies.
They put it on top.
Leave crabs where they are, honestly. Because Tom was like, I'm going back to Satan Town, and she was like, all right, fine. She's driving away, and like Mark and Tom's mom just like pops up in the back seat, and Julie's like, ah, and she just like crashes immediately. I was like, you stupid idiot. So now we see a cult procession, and they've got Mark. Tom has somehow stolen a robe and is like following the procession to this like cave altar. And there's an explosion for some reason. And now Corbin has turned into a goat man. He's looking nice.
He looks very cool.
He's kind of more like a ram man because he's got like the spiraled backwards horns. And he looks like, but he's like a goat person. And he has a like wax voodoo doll of Mark that he puts into a fire and it starts melting. And Mark is like, oh no, my guy.
Pretty
and then
spot on impression of what's happening.
Like, honestly. Oh yeah, I guess maybe you said it. I guess I did forget to say that Mark also has like a pentagram carved into his chest. And then Corbin drops waters of forgetfulness on Mark's face and summons Martin Fife. So essentially, like, I think, I guess that like, actually, I thought maybe we could figure out what was going on here, but the more I think about it, the more it doesn't make sense. I think he's using the wax voodoo dolls as like a way to sever the people's souls from their body, but like, and so that he could like summon different souls to inhabit the body, but now it's like not a real body anymore. Question mark? I don't know. Anyways,
yeah, I
he
don't know.
summons Martin Fife, something like that. And Mark has no eyes now. And now he loves Satan too, because he's Martin Fife. So I think the water like burns their eyes away. I don't know.
All I know is I just wish I did not have eyes.
Same.
Yeah. Well, somebody in the crowd calls out Tom, "Blasphemer!" And all of the cult members are like, "Oh my God!" And they start swarming him. He like shoots at a bunch of people and then runs. And there's like this whole thing where they're like chasing him through the abandoned town or whatever, but he ends up escaping. And he's just, it like cuts to Tom talking to Sam, the doctor, and he just like tells them what happened. He's like freaking out, of course, because now his mom, he saw his mom with no eyes, and now his wife is also missing. And he's like, the sheriff won't do anything. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Here's this book. And I gotta say that, like, Sam is a down bitch because he just immediately, like, believes everything that Tom has said to him and is, like, trying to figure it out because he's just like, well, Tom's like, what the fuck happened to my family? And Sam's just like, well, here, John gave me this book that belonged, and like I've been looking through the book that's been like passed down through your family, and it belonged to Corbus 300 years ago. And Tom is just like, and so they're just kind of like talking about like how everybody in the book has like written their name in blood. Like it's obviously not blood, but because it's like really nice handwriting.
I think it was blood.
And he's just like,
It's like good blood.
Yeah, it's the fancy blood
He's-
you only use for,
Has-
like
Has
Thanksgiving.
the
Signing your
appropriate
name.
amount of iron in it.
signing your name away to Satan.
Yeah.
It's not like my blood that's filled with Dr. Pepper. Blood from someone who drinks water.
That's right. So, yeah, he's basically just like, so all of the people in this book are people who like gave their names away to Satan, gave their souls to Satan or whatever, and blah, blah, I don't know, something about 300 years. And then Tom is just like, well, why does he have to wait 300 years? And Sam is just like, I don't know. He said something about the devil's reign, and Tom is just like, oh, last night during the ceremony, Corbus mentioned that he mentioned the devil's reign. I don't know what it is. And then we see that Mark's name has been written in the book. So R.I.P. Mark.
I just like that nobody in this entire movie has any second like thought. They just immediately go with the idea that this dude is 300 years old.
Yeah.
They're just like,
They're
yeah,
just
it's
like,
fine.
I mean, like he was a goat, so I don't know. I think I probably just believe it too.
It's just like, even like, I don't know, like, I guess he does turn into a goat before this happens. I don't know. I was just like, I was thinking this is the first time they're like kind of like finding
that's
out that he's
why-
got some sort of powers that are just like, he's 300 years old, obviously.
So yeah,
Duh.
so Tom the night before did see him turn into a goat. But Sam is the one that's like been at the house, and he's the one that hasn't seen literally anything with his own eyes. But he believes in ESP, so like why not, I guess, right? Someone could be 300 years old.
This whole movie feels like a TV episode that you didn't see the episode before. Because there's like so much
Yeah.
shit that just happens that everyone is just like, yeah, obviously. And you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, because then Sam's just like, yeah, devil's reign, whatever. And so Sam is just like, I don't know, we just need to, like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. They see that Mark's name is now written in the book, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta go. So that later that night, the cult has Julie. She's not happy about it. Tom and Sam go to the church, and they're kind of just like looking around like in the church, and Sam is like, Tom, look, these are satanic symbols like in the book. And then Tom goes, well, that figures. And I was like, Tom, that does figure. You're right. So on the ground, they found this like manhole looking thing that has like symbols on it. They lift it up, and there's just like a bunch of wailing and like yelling and crying coming up from inside the hole. And they pull out what is essentially a big like Fabergé egg that has like a goat head on it. And it's fucking huge. It looks pretty cool. And Sam is just kind of like, hey, look, there's souls in it. And I'm like, of course there are. So we see like a close-up of it, and there's like literally like on the belly of the egg, there's like people inside like slamming on it and being like, hey, let me out, and like wandering around. And inside it's raining. It's the devil's rain. And
Whoa.
I still have no idea what the fuck that means or what's happening with this egg.
Yeah, I was
So-
curious if this was like based on anything and sort of like a mythology aspect, or if this was just some bullshit they made up for the movie. Because I was
So-
like, they just like they talk about it like it's this thing where they're just like, yeah, dummy, you know what this is.
Yeah, and that's what I was like, maybe I should like do some research because I have no idea. And that's
Well,
why
guess what?
whenever
We didn't.
because it's like no, of course not. That's not this podcast. That's like what you were saying, where they just like say everything so matter of fact as if it's like everybody knows. Because when they're like, come forth, Martin Fife, and I'm like, am I supposed to actually know who that is? Like, is that a real like I have no idea.
It's so good.
I think it's kind of like that fake it till you make it. Like this is what they wrote. They're sticking with it. So here we go. This egg is the devil's rain. So the sheriff shows up. He's like, fucking possessed. He's got no eyes, and he attacks them. Sam just like pushes him down into the hole where the devil's rain egg came from. And I guess he's dead because flames shoot up in it. No explanation for what's going on with that. They decide that they're going to take the egg, and as they're leaving the church, the procession of cultists shows up with Julie. And this is so they hide. They just left the fucking book like on the floor on the stage, and one of the cultists just like finds it and brings it. He just finds it on the ground, and I was like, fucking get going, you idiots. His family has kept this book away from this dude for 300 years, and they just like leave it on the floor. Great. So now Corbus has the book. He's like fucking stoked. He hugs it. It was pretty sweet. It was a sweet moment. And stupid Tom sees Julie and is just like, Julie, and like jumps down there and immediately gets grabbed by all the cultists. Then they're like gonna fuck him up too or whatever. So Sam shows up and he's like, I have the egg. Okay, I kept calling it an egg. It's the devil's rain, but like I don't know what
The
that
devil's
means.
egg.
It's the devil's egg. Ooh.
Yeah, deviled egg.
It's the deviled egg. He shows up with the deviled egg, and Corbin knows him. He's like, oh, yeah, I love your work. And I was like, all right. And Sam is like, I will give you this deviled egg for Tom and Julie. Let's do a trade. But instead of doing a trade, the cultists just grab him and take the egg back. It's Mark/Martin Fife who has the egg. And there's like a bunch of back and forth between them. And Sam is like, listen, if we destroy this deviled egg, then Corbus has no power over you, and you'll all be free, and you'll have a chance. Like you'll be free. Just a fucking lie. But anyways,
Yeah, Satanist lie.
Corbus is like,
Corbus
is
70s
like,
movies
hey.
have taught me.
what? That everything's a
No,
lie?
the Satanist lie.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I just really, really love the idea and all of these like satanic panic kind of movies that like people really thought that there was a dude out there turning into a goat and like fucking turning stuff into snakes. Like they really thought that.
I mean,
It's crazy.
that would be pretty sick if that was actually happening.
It would be, but alas. So
I can't find
Martin Fife has
any. I googled is the Devil's Reign real, and it's just coming up with a bunch of
Nothing?
reviews.
Damn.
wow, bummer.
I was hoping it would come
Okay.
up.
We're
You
gonna
know,
have to
how-
investigate
you know how when
further.
you like Google something, it'll come up with like the frequently asked questions on like Google. I was hoping it would come up with some like
Yeah.
ridiculous shit, but it's just coming up with shit about the movie. So I'm assuming whatever the idea
Bummer.
behind this is not a thing.
Okay. Well, good for them for making us even remotely think it could be real.
I mean, I didn't think it was real. I was just I didn't know if it was based off like something like a biblical
that's
thing
what I
or
meant,
whatever,
like-
but
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I meant. So okay, so yeah, so Sam is like, break the deviled egg, you'll be fine. And Martin's like, looks kind of troubled, and he ends up. Corbus is just like, hey guy, don't do that, but he does. He breaks the egg, and it starts raining. There's like rain coming through the roof. There's chaos. All of the people are like screaming and running around or whatever. Sam and Tom get Julie, and people are melting everywhere and running around and screaming. Corbus is a goat again, and he is like trying to push Tom down into like the soul pit, but the rain is like coming down through the roof of the church, and so it's like starting to melt him also. The melting looks pretty cool, like, because it's like I said in the beginning, it's like candle wax, but it's skin colored, like melting off of them, and it's like pretty cool looking. There's a lot of it. But then Corbus ends up falling into the pit, and the church explodes and catches on fire. Let's see. Sam, Tom, and Julie escape the church as everything is burning. There's like a lot more melting. There's like a straight 5 minutes of like people just
oh my
melting
god,
and
there's
being sad and shit,
so much like melting at the end of this movie.
including Martin Fife, including their mother. So like essentially Sam was like, destroy the egg and you'll be free. Like, okay, technically they are free because they don't have to like follow Corbus anymore, but they all just like melt and die, which doesn't seem fair. And also, again, like I said, we never find out what happens to their dad. The dad's just like never mentioned again. So I guess like technically, also, okay, yeah, there's a lot of melting. The church explodes a bunch more. Julie is like, oh my God, Tom, can I have a hug? And so they like hug as the building is burning in the background. It's also raining still. And then he's like, oh, Julie. Then when it turns, it's fucking Corbus. And he's like, ha ha. And it shows Julie's soul stuck in the devil's reign. And she's like, help me, help me. And it's the end. So what?
I assume
What
that just
pray
means
tell happened here?
he went home and fucked
He
Ernest
dreamed all of it?
Borgnine.
Hell yeah.
So like,
We need video.
because like originally,
It's the sequel.
I don't know about that. I was like, well, what happened to all the souls that were released or whatever? But then I'm like, wait, so did all of that stuff not actually happen, and she just has been trapped in the devil's reign the whole time, and thought that's what happened? Or was that like her ESP seeing what could have happened, but that's not what actually happened?
I don't
know.
no idea. I like my
I don't-
version better where he fucks Ernest Borgnine at the end of the movie. That should have been post-credit scene.
Like, I mean, to be honest, I don't really care that it makes no sense, because it's like, okay, well,
Because nothing before it makes
It's
sense.
yeah, I still really enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, it's like it honestly, it really feels like almost like an extended like Twilight Zone episode. Where it's just kind of
Yeah,
like
I would
some
agree with
weird
that.
shit happens, and you're just like for like an hour, and you're just kind of like, huh, all right, well that was cool.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you.
I was surprised. Like I didn't expect to actually like enjoy it because I'm not like I don't really give a shit about like the you know kind of satanic panic type movies from like the 70s, but this kind of or that's kind of like going into it, that's what I was expecting, and
Yeah, me too.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The casting is just so strange that it just
It works.
yeah, like all the only thing we needed was more Woody Chambliss as John or whatever, just being as
Yeah.
weird as possible. Have you guys seen the movie
Poor
Gargoyles
guy.
by any chance from the early 70s?
No.
I don't
Oh
think
my god, we
so.
should do that movie at some point. It's got Woody Chambliss in it, and it's I mean it's from like 72, so it's not like it's very nonsensical and kind of boring, but like very stupid. It would fit the podcast pretty well.
Oh, you know what? Seen this like streaming, and I've gone to watch it so many times, and I just never have.
I watched it on
I think.
Svengoolie did it. So I watched him like host it, and it's very stupid.
Similar films, Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Checks out.
I don't know about that.
Any news, Katie?
No.
Good. The news is bad all the time.
It's just getting worse.
Yeah.
God, dude, it's
amazing.
so fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I just be stressed all the time because the world is the worst. Not great.
Because the world is a vampire.
The world is a vampire.
Oh,
Dead
now
to
all I can think about is that fucking
Dre.
picture of him on the roller coaster at fucking Disneyland. All right,
That roller coaster was a vampire.
yeah. What
That's why I was just
what everybody watch this week, Katie?
You know, I just didn't watch anything.
You watched
I
some
watched,
weird
like-
show with Sad Sam.
Oh my God. Okay. I've talked about this show before. Like, I just call them my ghost shows because I either was watching Ghost Hunters Classic or I'm watching this other show called My Haunted House that is originally a Lifetime show, and it's on Discovery Plus right now, where it's like essentially people retelling their paranormal encounter, but then there's like reenactments, and it's just beautiful. I love it. It's like my favorite genre of
The fucking
show.
Snapchat you were sending me, I was like, what the fuck is this?
So that one was like, the way that they did that one was freaky because like, okay, so it was a clown, but the way that it was set up, and it's like every single one of these shows starts with like somebody moving into a new house, right? Literally all of them. And the way that they did it was like confusing because they made it seem like the family that moved in had like a birthday party for their son, and they literally hired a clown whose clown name was Sad Sam. And this guy, I wish I took, like, maybe I'll go back. I wish I took actual pictures, but I was like sending Snapchats to Nathan of it because this guy looked fucking terrifying. And so like the story went that basically after the birthday party, Sad Sam snuck upstairs and hid in the little boy's closet. So there's like this scene where he's like sitting in his bed, like reading a book or something, and Sad Sam, an adult person, is in his closet just like crying, and he's like, I'm sorry, and he's like crying off his clown makeup. And I was like, I literally said to Nathan, I was like, this is a Lifetime show, and this is like creepier than any shit that Eli Roth could ever come up with. Like, that was like one of the scarier ones for me, just because of the way they did the guy's makeup or whatever, and it was like really freaky. But anyways, so yeah, I was like watching that. I feel like there was something else that I was gonna say I watched. That was like a show, but I didn't watch any movies, I don't think. I just can't
I don't
remember.
remember seeing if you logged anything on Letterboxd, so.
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah, I don't know. You were saying it'd be shit from that show, and it just like broke my brain that it was a real thing.
It was insane because it's like reenactments and they're not great, but like, oh my god, I just love it. I eat it up. Did you watch that James Wood show?
Fuck no. Katie was sending me like, I don't know, something I guess for maybe Discovery Plus. I don't know what app it was on, about some fucking show James Woods hosts, that I was just like, what the fuck is this? And she started sending me episode titles, and I was like, no thank you.
Oh no.
I could, what was it called?
I don't remember. It looked like it was shit that was gonna be like, the future is anti-God and this is why blah blah blah, and I was like, alright.
So I sent, like, because first of all, the picture that they have of James Woods on the like thumbnail or whatever, like, it was one of those kind of like uncanny valley things where like I could tell, like, it looked kind of like it resembled James Woods, but it didn't really look like him. And I was like, is this like a doppelganger situation or is it Photoshop? I don't know. And I don't remember what the title of it was called, but Nathan was like, what the fuck is that show even about? And I looked through the titles of the episodes and I couldn't tell you, because one of them was like scientific breakthrough of robots. And then it was like how to be a superhuman. And I'm like, what does that mean?
What?
I don't know. I am not going to find out either, unfortunately, because I can't be doing that. But I just was like, it was very baffling.
Yeah, I'm not watching anything with James Woods besides like Videodrome or Vampires ever again, so.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I did watch this other like game show, because like I low-key love game shows, and it's called America Says, and like the idea of it is basically Family Feud, where they ask you a question and then you have to guess like the top answers. But instead of just like guessing without a board or whatever, they give you like the first letter of whatever it is. So it'll be like, what do you eat at a barbecue? And then so it would be like HD for hot dog, and I don't know.
I think I saw episodes of that.
Whatever else you eat at hot dog. Yeah, I really like it because I love, like, Family Feud is one of my favorites, and I love like general knowledge, like answer type stuff. And this one you would think would be easier because you get the letters, but sometimes you get so stuck on it that it's like, I don't know, it's hard. And then it's like every single round, it's like less and less, you know, so it goes from being like the top 10 answers to like the top 2 answers or whatever. But yeah, so I like that as something just like mindless to watch. But I think that's it.
All right, what about you, Kit?
Didn't watch a whole lot. I watched Licorice Pizza and then Madman, and that was it.
How's Licorice Pizza?
It's really good.
Is it?
Just it's kind of like just a wandering around film. Like, there's not like a big overall plot. It's just kind of hanging out with Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman for 2 hours. It's nice.
I thought you said hanging out with a lot of ham, and I was like, oh, okay.
Also pretty good.
Not bad.
I watched through the Arrow Yokai Monsters box set. All of them bangers.
Oh my god, it looks insane.
They're so good.
Yeah, I want to watch them.
Takashi Miike, fucking 4th movie. I think there's a sequel he made to it that is just not streaming anywhere yet that I want to watch, but it's so good. I rewatched Caligula, And then I watched Jaws 1, 2, 3, 4, Cruel Jaws, and Santa Jaws. Just, do the whole Jaws, my official Jaws chronology. I watched Dario Argento's Door into Darkness series, which is like 4 made-for-TV movies. That was pretty good.
Huh.
It's on Shudder. Like, I think 2 of them are directed by Argento himself, one by Luigi Cozzi, and then I don't know who directed the last one, Mario Foglietti. The Argento ones are really good. So if you want, watch both those. They're on Shudder. I was gonna watch all the RoboCop movies, and I made it through 2 and gave up. I watched RoboCop, which is perfect, and RoboCop 2, which is pretty good. And then I was like, I don't know if I could watch 3 or the remake again, so I did not.
Oh, three has like the flying robot samurai guys or whatever.
Yeah, but it doesn't have Peter Weller, and the guy that plays RoboCop in it is rough.
Robert John Burke rules.
I disagree, at least in that.
If it was him wearing the thinner fat suit as RoboCop.
There's not a single guy in it with like long arms falling out a window. Like, and then like war broke out and I got real bummed out and I started just rewatching a bunch of shit. I rewatched The Velocipaster because it's a banger.
Hell yeah.
Amazing.
I did. I watched a movie on YouTube called Oversexed Rug Suckers from Mars about aliens that turn a vacuum cleaner into a person. And it is real bad, but also pretty fun.
I refuse to believe it's bad.
I mean, it's bad in as much as it's like a really shitty, like, shot on video thing. So it's hard to watch because it already it looks like shit, and then it's uploaded to YouTube, so it looks even worse than it would if we were on VHS. So it's just kind of hard to watch, but story wise, it's very stupid and fun. I rewatched Death Laid an Egg, which is a giallo that takes place inside a chicken processing plant that has this entirely insane noise jazz score in the 60s. It's really weird and very good. I rewatched Terror Vision and Reanimator.
Does Death actually lay an egg though?
No.
Well,
it's very weird because it's got this whole plot line about how one of the dudes in it is like picking up women and murdering them, and then you find out he's not later in the movie, spoiler, you find out that he's actually just paying these women to pretend they were murdered for his fetish. It's very strange. It's just this weird fucking M. Night Shyamalan twist that makes no sense.
That's incredible.
It's one of the weirdest giallos I've ever seen. I highly recommend it.
I love that because that's the best ever outcome of a murder movie, to just find out that no one's actually murdered.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's not not even the ending twist. That's just a thing that happens in it.
Of course.
I
Wow.
rewatched Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, that folk horror documentary.
I need to watch that.
I liked it a lot more this time after having watched through most of the stuff in that box set Severin put out. But
Yeah.
even without it, it's still a pretty fascinating documentary. Rewatched Night of the Lepus, about giant killer rabbits. Rewatched Airheads and The Editor. I watched it's called Killer Dead on Letterboxd, but on YouTube the thing I watched, it was called Non-Vegetarian Zombies from Outer Space, and it's the only other movie directed by Brendan Faulkner, who did Spookies, which also rules. And it's this extremely low budget shot on video thing from the 90s that's Plan 9 from Outer Space and a gangster movie, but if they were made by the people that made Redneck Zombies. It slaps. Highly recommend. And then I watched a movie called The Killer with a Thousand Eyes that was like this pretty okay, like Italian cop procedural thing. I think that was it. Go watch Velocipaster. It slaps. And then go listen to our episode on it from like, I don't know, 2 years ago.
Oh my god, yeah.
Shout outs. Katie, say the new blood incantation before Kit can.
My shout outs are the New Blood Incantation and Elden Ring.
Damn,
So,
that
what
was
do you
gonna be
have?
what I was gonna say.
Honestly, like literally the only thing that we've been doing is like playing Elden Ring, so I
Same.
really don't have another shout out.
I have no idea what that
It's
is.
so
It's other
good.
than it's a video game.
It's all I want to do.
Yeah,
I don't want to work tomorrow. I want to play Elden Ring.
just call out. No one's gonna know.
Yeah, I beat Godric last night. Like, let me
I know,
continue this
what-
momentum.
I mean, that's pretty impressive first try.
It's barely, but I got there.
I love it.
What is it about? Is it just like one of those kind of, you're in like Viking wasteland type shit? That's just what the name
No,
comes to me.
So like there's like literally no way you've never seen me or other people talk about Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I know those are games. I don't know like what they're about.
Yeah, they're kind of like more so Dark Souls and not Bloodborne, but basically they're like games that are the world is kind of set up in a way where there's like lore to it, but you can kind of decide like how much lore you want to get into and how much you want to just like fucking kill stuff. And so it's just like this newer one is like open world for the first time. So it's like instead of traveling between specific areas, it's like literally just an open field like Breath of the Wild is. And it's like the first time that a From Software game has been like that. So number one, crazy. And so you can kind of just decide what you want to do. Like, obviously, there's areas that are easier than other areas. And there's, like, all kinds of different builds you could do for your character. So it's, like, you can decide if you want, like, what kind of weapons you want to use, if you want to be able to use magic, if you want to be able to use, like, a specific kind of magic. And it's just, like, really immersive. And I think that the thing that like is making people who don't usually play the games want to play is that what's that guy's name?
George R. R. Martin from
yeah.
A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. It like helps with it, and essentially like I don't know. I don't feel like it feels different than other From Software games for me. Like, I think he just helped them, like, with the development of the world. And, like, the people's names in the game are definitely more, like, medieval sounding than other games to me, too. So there's, like, a lot of people that are picking the game up because of him specifically. And then being like, I suck at this game, and therefore this game is terrible and bad or whatever. But, like, it does take a lot of patience. But it's amazing, and there's like all kinds of like crazy monster things that you fight that are just like incredible to look at and like creepy, and it's like, I don't know, you could literally spend hundreds and hundreds of hours on the game.
The other day I was riding around on horseback and saw like a really cool like statue like falling into the ground, and I was like, I wonder if there's anything cool over there. And the fucking thing stood up and started stomping on me and my horse. It's like
you just
really
never know
cool.
what's gonna happen.
It's really cool, like the exploration aspect of Skyrim. Like, oh, what's over there? I want to go see. Except everywhere you go, there's the threat that something will absolutely murder you immediately.
Yeah, just like punch you in the fucking face and you're dead.
I just like that
It rocks.
George R. Martin apparently is doing everything he can to just not write any more books.
It's so I respect that.
Yeah,
I respect that.
I
so
hope
hard.
he never finishes it just to
Like,
fucking
Yeah.
make everybody mad.
Sorry, you nerds. Like, eat shit.
Yeah. Like something cool
Playing
like
video
Harry
games
Potter,
now.
you fucking nerds.
Yeah, so the reason I started laughing is because in our last Vampire Unearthed episode, I was trying to think of what the name Game of Thrones was, and I couldn't remember. And I was like talking about, I was like, the movie with like all the incest and stuff, and then Kit goes Harry Potter, and I was like, yes, and we just like went on with it. And so now every time I think of Game of Thrones, like that's what I think of, and it just cracks me up. I've literally never seen Game of Thrones, and I never will, so don't come for me about that. But anyways, it's great, and it's been a long. It's like it feels crazy that it's like out finally, and people are like playing it and stuff. Because I remember when it was like not even a twinkle in their eye, and everyone was like, "When's the next game?" Well, everyone wanted another Dark Souls, but like. It works.
All right, Kit. What's your shout out? Both of those.
Yeah, it was gonna be one of those or the other, depending on what Katie had said. She said both.
Katie definitely has not listened to the Blood Incantation album.
Oh, absolutely not. I didn't even know there was one, to be honest.
You
but
should.
I love that for you.
It's ambient. It's very chill.
Yeah, it's not a metal album. It's like a.
It's all synths and space noises.
It's pretty good. I listened to like half of
Very
it.
relaxing.
I haven't finished the whole thing yet. I enjoy it.
Very relaxing. All right.
I'm gonna say the band Boris. Go listen to Boris.
Hell yeah.
They are very weird, and I appreciate it.
Definitely.
All right. So next week, I was going to pick Possession, and then I was like, everything's bleak, and I don't want to watch something bleak. Be sad even more.
Yeah.
So
I'm sad.
I pivoted, and we're gonna do Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Oh hell yeah!
Yay!
Which is a fucking banger. So I think that's on Tubi. I know it's on something for free. Maybe Shudder too.
I've definitely seen it on Tubi before, but
yeah, it's currently on Shudder,
I think
Tubi,
it's on
and
Prime,
Prime,
too.
so you can watch it
Okay, cool.
commercial free if you have stuff.
The movie that we did today, I don't know why I watched it on Tubi and I had to watch commercials, and then afterwards I was like, why the fuck did I do that? Make any sense.
Yeah, I watched it on Shudder because I was just like, oh, I don't have to watch commercials. I'm in.
I don't know what I was thinking. Tubi's just like so easy and accessible that normally that's like the first streaming service that comes to mind. So I just like, and then I'm like, why the fuck?
I had looked at Shudder in a long time, and then when I was watching that Argento show, I was like flipping around through it, and I was like, oh, there's like some, like they got some actually really good like older movies on here. I'm gonna like watch some shit on here, and then I was like looking through like whatever the newer movies like that they're putting out, and I was like, I don't know what any of this is, and it looks bad. But also go watch Death Drop Gorgeous, because by the time this episode's out, it's on Shudder now, so you can go watch it for, quote unquote free if you have a Shudder subscription.
Oh yeah.
So Elvira, Mistress of the Dark next week. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast. We just released, the day we're recording this, our episode on Street Trash, Ghoulies 3, Go to College, and a zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead. Spoiler, Katie's favorite episode we've done.
You guys, I suffered so much.
It's so good.
I'm glad it's
honestly,
over.
listening to Katie have to talk about zombie ass is worth the Patreon subscription alone. And then I don't know, sometime maybe like a week after this was released, I think Katie and I will have a episode on the ogre and black demons for the demons. Fucking
Amityville Diarrhea.
yeah. Honestly, that's gonna like I'm gonna look in like 2 weeks, and that's gonna be a movie that was announced by fucking Chauncey Phillips or some shit. I'm gonna be very mad.
Almost definitely.
You can buy merch at our store Frontier shop. Leave us a rating on Spotify and a rating and review on iTunes. Tell us if you think the Devil's Reign is a real thing. I believe it is. I believe that egg is a real thing that exists probably in the Vatican.
It's somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
The next Indiana Jones is going to be about it.
Oh, I'm in. Fucking
I would
92-year-old
that.
fucking Harrison Ford.
Indiana Jones and the Devil's Egg.
Can't wait to see what the next Indiana Jones is like, and Harrison Ford barely being able to move around. Follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. Listen to my other podcast, 8K Movie Club. Go watch Elvira. Even if it's not for the podcast, just watch it because it rules.
Yeah, for fun.
Yeah. I believe the Elvira's Haunted Hills is also streaming somewhere for free, so go watch that too. I hope you something Kevin Sorbo. I hope you drown Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, that's good. Or I hope you hot dog some wine.
I hope.
Or was it wine from dog?
Lucy
I don't
Lawless
remember.
stabs you, Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, that one's good.